A lot of times we go into the mission field thinking that because they're atheists, they're a blank slate and they don't understand anything about God or the gospel. This is very often true, to a degree. They don't have an official, formal religious background, but there are so many traditions that keep on popping up, that they are everywhere and they have a vague understanding of. We don't meet Orthodox people very commonly here in the United States, especially Western United States. They are just not around. We're used to hearing about Catholics and Protestants, and there's that one other thing that nobody really talks about, and it's the Orthodox faith that we don't meet. And in that faith, they believe very similarly to the Catholics on many things. You will see icons. You will see churches that are decorated with them. You will see them praying to icons, although those who are educated wouldn't call it that. The uneducated call it that. They say, oh, I have to pray to icons. I can't pray directly to God. But they believe a lot of things that are very key to the temple. They're cathedrals that we would call, St. Basil's Cathedral. For them, they use the same word, temple, chram. And that principle applies in a lot of things. The temple is very close to these people. They just don't happen to often be aware of it. They believe that families are eternal. They don't believe that a civil authority has a law to bind your soul forever. There are many people. I taught a couple who were unmarried. They were boyfriend and girlfriend living together, but they were unmarried because they were looking for the church that would allow them to be a family together forever. And so they had a common law marriage for how long they'd lived together, but they still hadn't been officially married because they didn't want to get marriage that was pointless. Well, in order to get baptized, they had to get married. So we had them have a civil marriage so that they would be able to get baptized, so that they would be able to go to the temple. The sealing, they have told me, was something absolutely wonderful. It happened after I was gone, but it brought them incredible joy. A lot of times, the Orthodox faith has plain and precious truths that have been lost. If you're willing to listen to someone for just a little while, you'll often find something that you can teach from. They are very strong about the importance of families, and it goes throughout their culture. Their folklore, their fairy tales talk about how important families are. Everywhere you will see families, families, families. And that's the number one thing under attack in Ukraine right now is the family. Very often you will see people advertising to school children. Their cigarette companies will hire people to go to elementary schools and say, oh, girls, start smoking. It brings on puberty harder and faster, and then the boys will like you more. They tell the boys similar things that, oh, it'll make you manlier and everyone will like you. But really what the problem is with family now is that it's very similar to what's happening in America. There's not as much the gay rights movement or anything like that. But what they talk about is a lot of skyrocketing divorce rates. Right now, the tradition is that you have typically 3 generations at least in the same apartment. Grandma and Grandpa live in the same spot as Mom and Dad, live in the same spot as you. Rarely is it different. It's typically only different if you're moving to a different area, or if you have a very bad relationship with your parents. And that's being pushed a lot more these days. Their version of a soap opera or a telenovela are gypsy shows. And they talk about people running free and not having any relations with their family and doing whatever they want. All in all, the attacks that are made, that it's all hopeless, that there's nothing to be gained, that all the youth are disrespectful these days, are efforts to try to get rid of the hope that is there. And the hope is found through families, most often.